So 30 minutes ago, thereabouts, we're in 8 feet of water, throwing fly at tarpon. It was a pretty cool experience for sure. And now we're out here, what is it, 750 feet of water. Ran out here at like about 40 miles per hour, something like that.
Made good time.
Made good time, the boat chewed it up. And now we're going to deep drop for tilefish, which is something that's pretty new to me. So certainly this will be a great learning experience. But yeah, so you got the rig, we got it already set up in the rod holder here. We're gonna plug it in, which is an option on the 27 here.
Yep, yeah. Convenient, you know? Right. And you could put multiples if you wanted to, but ideally, since this boat is manageable, I'm never gonna fish more than 2. A lot of people don't fish more than 2 electrics, but plugs under the gunnels, easy peasy, easy to access. Power to the reel, 12 volt power, 12 volt reel.
Right.
And I really like where you guys had installed the plugs just because it keeps it out of the elements and keeps it protected. And so realistically, those plugs will last the life of the boat.
Right.
And yeah, we like to fish electric reels. Some people don't look at it as very sportsmanlike, but if you've reeled a 8-pound lead from 750 feet, it's not.
We've done the sportsman thing. We just were throwing flies at tarpon. Right. That's about as sporty as you can get. Now this is all about business.
Going to Publix.
And making dinner, going to Publix, absolutely.
Going to the supermarket.
And doing it all in the same day, which is just absolutely crazy. Once again, I'm blown away.
I like to utilize like the center rod holders. Once again, this is just like a personal preference, like we were talking about earlier. And similar to that of like daytime sword fishing and things like this, we'll use the center rod holders because it keeps it close to the helm, allows the person at the helm on the wheel to see the person on the reel and see the line and know where it is in relativity to the boat. Just like we were fishing sabiki rigs straight up and down, we want to fish this straight up and down.
Right.
And once we hit bottom with the tiles and things that live down there, those demersal species, you want to keep the weight in the rig and the squid that we're going to use to catch them directly on the bottom and drag it. Right. And as that weight is dragging around on the mud, they'll come out of the burrows, take a look at it, and hopefully grab the hook, and that's that,
And how much does current play a role? I mean, can you have too much current or too little current?
I think that I've never had a bad day whether we're sword fishing, any deep dropping in general, when there's some sort of a current, especially on the eastern seaboard for the most part. In the Bahamas, a little different, not as much current there, but here, current is a good thing. It varies consistently throughout a day, certainly, and some days, today, for example, it's moving at 3.5 knots, which pretty good. I mean, we could turn the key off and drift up to Charleston by tomorrow if we wanted to, or Jacksonville at least. But the current, the stream will vary. Some days it's farther east, some days farther west, some days it's a little, our drift is a little different. So I like to find what our exact drift is that day before we drop.
That's what you were saying. First thing you do is you figure out your drift, and then go back and get up current of that, and then drift back through where you want to fish.
You're always you're on a stream essentially, and it's always moving from south to north. So once you get a bite, if you miss it or if you get it, great. But we'll pull it up, the rig up, and then run back to the south and drift that same line again.
Right.
And usually we'll get more bites like that. We'll try and catch a whole family.
Very good.
Is all it is. So just like any conventional style reel, lever drag, you adjust the drag setting, and you got a level wind here. Sometimes when you really send the weight down, Charlie, if you're in free spool and you're dropping the thing all the way to the bottom, once it hits the bottom, it'll kind of make a couple revolutions.
Free spool. Backlash.
Yeah, a little bit. So sometimes it'll wrap on the level wind or whatever, but it's got this little thing. It just goes in there.
Gotcha.
Easy. And line indicator, right?
Is it supposed to go inside? Inside that one too, or not?
No, it just has to go through these 2 little bars, just like that. See how it goes in between those 2 bars?
Okay,
level wind on. And, usually I like to zero out. This is the 0 button, see it, but it's already zeroed out. But if it'll count out from here, right?
Right.
So if the bottom is 766 feet, I want to kind of I don't want to have that much bow in the line, so we're going to kind of use as much weight as we want, really, to minimize that. And by the time we get it out there, we might have 800 feet out. And you got to keep dropping it down to the bottom, keep dropping, you know what I mean, and keep it there. And almost honestly, sometimes what I like to do is just leave it in free spool and kind of hold the spool. You'll get a feel for it, and know when to give it a little line or whatever. But you do want it to kind of move too, right? You do want that weight to be just skipping on the bottom. You don't really want it to just sit in one spot. You just want to drag it.
Okay.
But keep hitting bottom consistently. There you go. Like putting the weight in the rod holder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. Usually
Just
they
for the
fit.
time
It might
being.
not, but it probably will.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
Here we go.
And then I'll just clip this dude up here.
Right.
And then, yeah, that's kind of the general rig right there. We'll go ahead and grab some squid on, put them on, put one on, and kind of like thread it on, right? So like, let me show you.
One per hook.
One per hook, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Just grab a hold of this squid. Everything eats squid, kind of like shrimp. Frozen kind of, but we'll get through it. And all I do really is just grab this dude like this, kind of grab the circle hook. You know, it's a slightly offset circle hook actually, but I think this is like a 6.0. And kind of just put it on there like that.
Right.
And then usually just like one more time like that. And that dude will kind of track like it should in nature at least.
Right.
Yeah. I'll slide this thing towards you a little bit so you can grab that whole shingle bob.
Okay, you said right through here, right?
Yep. And through and then back in, yep.
Yep.
And the squid juice is notorious for ruining everything, so just good.
All right. Once again, multiple hooks.
Yep, multiple hooks.
Having to keep everything tight, I guess, right?
Yeah, keep everything tight and fish up and down. That's really the key. And the cool thing is about doing this is, like, once again, just about everything you pull up is good to eat. Yeah, it can be, sometimes you have to earn it out here like anything, but typically, since it's so hard to access stuff like that lives out here, it can be very good fishing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Time of the year has a little bit to do with it. I haven't really figured that out enough to know, but I think summer season is really good.
Right.
Summer and fall tend to be very good.
Well, certainly these fish can't have seen much out here.
No.
As far as
pressure.
Yeah.
It was until recent years we really had the technology, rods, the boats for that matter, to be able to come out here and do this.
Yeah. And certainly a boat, that you could get out here in 30 minutes like we did.
That's right. Yeah. 15, 20 years ago, I would have never done it in a boat like this.
Right.
But here we are.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I burned 10 gallons of fuel getting out here.
Right.
I mean, how do you beat that?
Yeah.
I'll come tight on it. And then all you'll do is I like to easily do it, because sometimes they fall off, but you can kind of do whatever.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Yep.
All right.
Beautiful.
And, right?
Yep. Exactly. And now all I've got to do is just stay over top of it. And back on it a little bit, just keep it straight up and down as best as we can. Don't want to put the boat in reverse too much because you tend to move quick, but I'm just chasing the rig right now.
So we're at 220 now.
Okay. Yeah, you can pretty much just free spool until it gets close to the bottom. You should have a little bit more than obviously 750 feet out. You're probably gonna have 800 by the time you get down there, but we'll see.
I would not want to be cranking this up.
Yeah, it's a long day. It's a long day to be cranking that thing up, especially with a fish on it. It's a lot easier with a fish on it. It's a lot harder when it's just a weight.
A lot easier with the fish on,
you say? A lot easier with the fish on it.
Just because adrenaline or what?
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But, with the electric reels, the key really is, it's not the most sportsman way to catch a fish, but, we can make 3 or 4 times as many drops as you could with just hand cranking a rig in.
Okay, we just hit bottom.
Okay.
So
So, you know, you got 953 feet out, and I think we could reduce that if we use a little bit more weight, but it's good. So really just leave the weight on the bottom. You see how the rod tip's dancing? You know, everything we're gonna do out here right now is just watching the rod tip. That's literally all we're doing. And when the rod tip's dancing like that, you know the weight's not directly on the bottom. It's close to the bottom, so just keep dropping that weight down onto the bottom.
Okay, so we want the rod tip to
almost have no, you know, every once in a while you want it to bounce a little bit, but for the most part you really just want it to
like you said, dragging the bottom.
Drag on the
not
bottom.
bouncing the bottom, it's dragging.
You just want to be directly on the bottom, and you constantly have to check bottom, and you're really dropping down more than you're reeling.
Right.
And that's really the name of the game here.
Okay.
So typically when we do get a bite though, regardless of the deep dropping, what target, you know, what species we're targeting, I'll try and just instantly hit the mark button on the GPS to allow us to know where in that drift we got the bite. And usually with all the deep water species we have that live in the Gulf Stream, if we get one bite and we do that drift again, whether we caught that fish or not, we'll run back up and do that same drift and typically get more bites, consecutive bites in that same spot. Make sure those lights are on. I've had the light, yeah. Okay. All right, let's get back to the spot. Let's put some more squee on there. Grab this balloon real quick.
So we're going down again here. We're at about 725.
745?
745.
745.
Yeah. We had that second lead to it, so we're holding bottom better now up here. So
yeah, you're looking at 740 feet deep here, so hopefully this drop is the best one yet. And that's how you know. You know, you just try and minimize the amount of line you have out every drop. You'll get good at it by the end of the day. And that oftentimes, there you go. How much line you got out?
940.
Good, that's our best drop.
All right.
That's our best drop. That looked bite-like. It's a little faint, like something small, but
come on. Yeah, so the boat is offered with either 300 or 425 and actually max horsepower 450, but you chose the 425 XTO. Why'd you do that?
So on a day-to-day basis, really, I'm moving a lot of weight.
Right.
I mean, live wells are full. I've typically got a full tank of fuel, and I got a lot of people.
Right.
And it's a 27-foot boat, so the 425 for me was the obvious choice. Mm-hmm. And I know that the economy, like at a cruising speed, is even better with 300.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Not as fast top end, obviously, like 50 compared to 60, but you're right. Yeah,
Right.
Fuel economy is very similar, but probably slight nod for 300.
And I think that motor would be a great engine to put on the back of this boat too. I really do. And for a certain type of person,
Maybe different applications. Maybe if you're not loading it up with a bunch of people and having bait in both the wells every day and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Somebody that maybe fishes inland more than they fish offshore, maybe fishing with less people, maybe not a tower.
Not so heavily bait dependent on fishery and that kind of stuff.
And the 300 is by far one of the better motors I've ever used as well. But clearly, you know, since I'm moving a lot of weight and I'm running out into the ocean in rough conditions and things, I figured that was the perfect motor for it.
Got it.
That engine swings a bigger propeller, so I have good maneuverability, great maneuverability for having a single engine. And all in all, I don't regret it one bit. I think it's the perfect engine to have on this boat specifically.
And you came out of a bigger center console with twins.
I did.
And obviously this boat only takes a single. And we're out here, 28 miles now or something like that. Being in a boat with just a single, do you feel any less safe than if the boat were to have twins?
I certainly always carry redundancies. I always have, you know, EPIRB for, specifically for the boat, as well as a satellite phone, but I have never once felt unsafe with one engine on the back of the boat. And I feel like it's almost overkill a lot of times for a lot of the scenarios I fish. being, you know, especially considering the fact that a lot of the fishing we do, I would say 75% of it is inland.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's sort of hard to get into, you know, 20 inches of water, cast net and bait with twins and that kind of stuff. And you lose sort of the whole Baybo component to it, it seems to me, with twins.
I agree. I agree 100%. 100%. You know, to each your own. You know, some guys feel differently, and I think once you've ran this versus a twin engine boat of similar stature, you realize that you're not really missing out.
Got it. So as soon as we were finished talking about engines, this storm came upon us, and unfortunately we only had a chance to do 2 drops, deep drops, and didn't get any bites there. But anyhow, so we had to run in right from there and really run through some pretty heavy stuff. But the whole point of the day was to show the possibilities that this boat can bring, from the inshore and doing the tarpon thing and the sight fishing, laid up tarpon fishing, to all the way out to 700 feet of water. And in that respect, we didn't catch as many as we wanted to, but in that respect, I learned a whole lot. I hope you guys learned a whole lot about how Sam set up the boat and all the great capabilities of the 2700, and just really what an exceptional boat it is.